Hello, 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 and welcome to the Core Dog Experience. We're here to talk Ohio State Buckeyes and college sports. But before we get into it, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Help a brother grow this thing out. Trying to do more here in 2024. So please hit that like, hit that subscribe. With that out the way, let's get into it. Ohio State hosting Marshall, coming off a bye week. It's hard you wait a whole week to see your Buckeyes play, and they come out the way they did. In particular, on defense, not so much on offense, but in particular on defense, you are looking for a little better start on the defensive side of the ball. But bye week, that's when you hate having bye weeks when you have the type of game they had against Western Michigan. 56-0, you really don't want a bye week. You want to come right back out and play. And not to say that's what hurt them or sluggish or whatnot. The early start, who knows, a lot of stuff. But the defense did not come out ready to play. They looked sluggish. And they did. I wasn't the only one. As you can imagine, Ohio State fans, they live and die with every drive. And after that first drive that Marshall put together, the naysayers are already out. The defense does not look good. Wow. Now I'm saying the same thing. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, hey, what's going on here? The defense does not look good at all starting this game, starting the whole first half in general, which is, Marshall moved up and down the field a lot. They made the plays when they needed to limit the scores, but for the most part, the defense came out sluggish. You can attribute that to a lot of stuff, perhaps, but the defense did not look good. And you can imagine why folks were like saying what's going on here, because as it was pointed out in that first half, Marshall put up over 200 yards. Over 200 yards in the first half alone. And Ohio State, as you know, the defense held both Akron and Western Michigan to under 200 yards. Western Michigan couldn't even crack 100. So to see a team put up 200 yards in the first half, yeah, that was kind of too much for some of us Buckeye fans to take. Like, what's going on here? They're giving up the yards, the points, not so much. You know, they finally gave up a touchdown, 2, in that first half, and yeah, so folks were just they weren't happy with how the defense was playing in general. As you know, I always pick it up in the second half, but that first half left a lot to be desired. And it could have been, like I said, a number of factors. First of all, Marshall had an excellent game plan. Their quarterback, as it was noted during the game, he wasn't holding on to the ball too long. One read, and he was running. And he was running effectively. That early noon start, I mean, like folks said, the curse of the noon start. I don't know. We don't start out good. Like our early noon games, I don't know. They ain't wake yet, I guess. But the noon start could have attributed to it, and then it was just hot. It was hot, and you got a running quarterback, a mobile quarterback. Your defense can't get off the field, and yeah, mobile quarterbacks give a lot of teams fit, Ohio State included, and he was a good mobile running quarterback. They had a good game plan because he was hitting passes as well. They had a good mix of run and pass. Nickel diming you to death. Nickel dime, and that can wear on the defense. And as was pointed out, it was hot. The field, the temperature on the field, the surface, they said it was over 140 degrees. So yeah, you had to rotate some linemen in and out. They were huffing and puffing, and you got this quarterback running around making life miserable in that first half. So a lot attributed to the sluggish start for the defense. But as we know, Ohio State, they're a second half team. That's how I was improving so far over these, over these first few games, and then going back to last year, they're a better second half team. Jim knows make some adjustments. Marshall had those 14 points, and they were shut out promptly in the second half after the defense did a little bit of stuff that they needed to do. You know, second half 0 points, 0 points, and I sort of fell victim to this too, to a little degree. After Marshall got that second touchdown, then he got 14 points. I was like, oh man, this might actually be a game. Nah, I wasn't gonna take it there, but because they couldn't stop the offense, and we're gonna get into the offense, but they just could not stop our offense at all. And if it happened to get into a shootout, I was gonna, you're gonna put your money on Ohio State. But yeah, Marshall, they made our defense work that first half, and they had a really, really good game plan and a quarterback that executed it very, very well. But the second half, they got shut down. Shut out in the second half, and Ohio State continued putting on the offensive pressure. So, good thing for that second half team again. They came out, did their stuff. Stuff to work on heading into next week, most definitely. And that was good and bad for the defense. Good and bad. You want to have the dominant game, dominant blowout, but this gives the coaches something to go back and look into and look at and sort of humble them a little bit. Humble them a little bit getting ready to next game, because you don't want all the games to be just 56-0 things, because then very little to work on. You can say stuff you need to work on, but players, they're young, going 1 year and out there, they're like, Coach, we just got to shut out. Come on. So I think this game, if anything, humbled them a little bit and let them give them stuff to work on heading into next week's matchup with Michigan State, conference game on the road. We will get into that. But defense, sluggish first half, made the big plays when they needed to limit the scoring. So kudos to that. They did have the big ones. Between the 20s, Marshall was moving up and down the field, but the defense got crucial stops in key situations that limit them to 14 points. Offense, big play after big play after big play after big play. 44 plays, I believe, 40 plus yards. I think all of them were scores. Every time Marshall thought they were going to do something, boom, a Mecca. Was it second play of the game? A Mecca, right down the field. Marshall, nick and diamond. You jab, 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 jab. Ohio State second play, a katana right through the defense. Boom, tied up. Marshall, nickel dime. Ohio State, boom, 86 yards. Quinshawn, boom, just big play after big play, and it was just the speed difference was just relevant. You can see it was just a big difference, the speed difference between our offense and their defense. Our running backs had a huge day, and just Quishan, Trevion, when they get going, once this offensive line gels, and we seen glimpses of them gelling, because they had some huge holes. And yes, I know it's Marshall, but got Donovan Jackson back, and you wanted to see the offense gel, work cohesively as a unit, and get those big holes, because they did what we needed them to do against this level of competition. And I think it is an improvement, because against this level of competition last year, they weren't doing it. To see them do it this year against the level of competition, yes, it's an improvement, and that's stuff you look for as the competition is going to start to ramp up some. So they had huge holes to run through. They stiff-armed their way. They had some mean stiff arms between the two of them. But they stiff-armed their way to nearly 300 yards on only 20 carries. I think it was close to 16 yards per carry. That's getting the job done with the best backfield tandem in the country. I don't care what anyone else says. You bring the all SEC running back and pair him with arguably the best Big Ten running back. You got the best running back tandem in the country, and it showed. You give these guys some blocking. You give our receivers any amount of blocking, any amount of blocking. And as Will Howard said, he ain't got to do much. He ain't got to do much. You let your playmakers make plays. So again, great offensive performance. Great running game. I think it was equally balanced pretty much across the field in terms of yardage between the passing game and the running game, and that's what you want to see. Now teams can't ramp up trying to stop just one aspect of your game because we got so much stuff going on, and it was on full display against Marshall. Passing game, good mix with the running game, big plays, short yardage stuff when we needed to. So it was just all in all, the offense was on point. They didn't miss a beat. The talent discrepancy between our offense and Marshall's defense was evident on the second play of the game when Emeka just took it to the house and outran everybody. On all the big plays, you could just see the speed difference. Just outran everybody on Marshall's defense. So, first half, sluggish, slow start. Big play after big play after big play. But you know what the biggest play probably was? Still when folks were like scratching their head, what's going on? What is the defense doing? How come we can't stop nobody? The biggest play of the game was a play that turned out to be no play. No play because the play didn't count at the end of the day. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It was a big play. It was the illegal procedure call on the punt. Brandon Ennis, he lost it in the sun? I don't know, but he muffed the punt. I think it was 14-7 at the time, Ohio State. He muffed the punt. They recovered it, was inside the 15-yard line, and boom, they recovered it. It's like, oh man, it was just because I think Will had thrown an interception earlier in the half. So it was just the only error by the offense was that underthrown pass by Will Howard. Other than that, offense was on point. But it's just at that point in the game, Marshall, they riding high, they feeling good about themselves, and then you go muff a punt. That's the type of stuff that allows upsets to sometimes happen. Even though it wasn't going to happen here, just the talent gap was too wide, our offense compared to their defense. But you give a team like that just any amount of hope, they going to make things rough on you. And in this particular season, you got teams wanting to run up the scores. You want to play close games against this type of competition when you're supposed to be blowing them out. And that muff punt, that gave Marshall a bunch of momentum because at that time, as y'all know, the defense was sluggish. They wasn't going to stop them. Marshall was going to score a touchdown. That's how bad the defense was actually playing in the first half, and that punt was huge. So, and they showed it, and I'm looking at it. I mean, you can look, and I'm looking. Is he really in the backfield? Is he in the? Are they in the backfield? Are they on the line of scrimmage? It's close. It's close. It's close, and they say I don't. And like I think Joe was saying, I didn't see a flag. Was the flag late? I don't know, but I'm looking at the screen when they showed the lineup, and I'm looking and they circling the people who they think might be in the backfield, and I'm saying, yeah, they a couple steps in the backfield. I think that was at the end of the day, I think that was a good call. And I ain't being a homer, well maybe, but that was a good that was a good call. I thought, whether the flag came in late or not, you want them to get the call right. So sometimes those type of calls does not go Ohio State's way, and we all know it. The referees in general, I thought they had a rough first half. They pointed it out. They did not get off to talking about sluggish. The referees did not get off to a good start either. They was neck and neck with our defense on who had a more slow start, so to speak. Some of their replays were slow. Some of the replays shouldn't have been called. In particular, the fumble on Marshall's first drive. Like, that ain't a fumble. That ain't Ohio State's ball. The dude, they never controlled it. The guy was out of bounds. Just give Marshall the ball and let them do what they go and do. just the whole first half, first quarter was just sluggish between our defense and the referees. I don't know what was going on. Like I said, that noon start just threw everybody off. Drink some coffee or something, get ready to play. And the referees, they were just as bad as our defense, but I thought they got this particular call right. I don't care if they threw the flag late or not. I do think it was the right call. When you look at the lineup, you look at where they at, where their feet are at, and where the ball is, where the center is. Yeah, that was a legal procedure. Make the call, and boom. And I think that turned the whole game around. Because I think on the very next series, that's when Quishan made his big run. Got to see one of those stiff arms because they just, like I said, they stiff armed their way to nearly 300 yards rushing, and Quishan was gone. That may have just, I want to say it sure dampened their spirits some. You think you right there, chance to tie up the number 3 team on the road. You playing with them, literally blow for blow, because they was playing with them. Had a good game playing offensively, and they was playing with them. They were playing keep away. They nickel and diamond jabbing with their little paring knife. That's what they were doing offensively. We got a good running quarterback who does just enough on the ground to keep the defense honest. And why we couldn't stop him earlier, I don't know, but he did his thing. He was a good mobile quarterback, and they gave our defense fits. And that no play, legal procedure went a long way, I think, and just and calming the folks. I know it calmed me a lot once that flag went down. I was like, yeah, I can see where he's in the backfield. They ain't on the line of scrimmage. Good call, refs. Boom. Next thing you know, we up 21-7, and that was pretty much the end of it. Even though they did get a touchdown late in the half, like I said, they got shut out in the second half. And sluggish start or not, at the end of the day, 49-14 win. I said the offensive line looked really good. And sluggish or not, bad or not, when you're sluggish and you can slosh your way to a 49-14 victory, it's a good day. A lot to work on. Defensively. Now, I think they got humbled somewhat, which is good. Like I say, heading into conference play. But outside of the slow start, some of the sluggishness on defense, when your biggest concern coming out of that game is that your kicker got a case of the yips, because he can't. I have never seen that when your kicker gets the yips and he can't get it to the damn. He can't kick it to the touchback. 3 consecutive times in the exact same spot. Literally the exact same spot. Jay Fielding could not kick it for whatever got into his head. All right, first time we give it to you. All right, it was bad. The wind was blowing or something. I don't know, wind took it. But the second time, the exact same spot, and Ryan Day was in your ear after the first one, and you turn around and do it again. I was like, okay, we give you one more chance, right? All right, that's 2. It ain't gonna happen 3 times. It ain't gonna happen again. And lo and behold, Jay Fielding kicked it a 3rd time. The same exact little curve. Like my golf swing, like same little curve. I was like, what the hell is going on with our kicker? I felt for the dude. I felt for Jay Field. He could not get into the touchback. Cause you know he was trying. You know he was trying his damnedest to get a touchback, and that ball just did the same thing. So at the end of the day, if that's one of your biggest concerns coming out of the game, is that your kicker got the yips during the kickoffs, your day pretty all right. Ain't too much going wrong with your day if that's one of your biggest concerns is your kicker cannot get it to the touchback. Is that going to be a problem moving forward? Perhaps. Because they brought in the other kicker was Snyder, I believe it was. They brought him in and he got it to the touchback a couple. He got it to the touchback. First time he got it to the goal line, they brought it out. He got an applause. When you applauding the backup kicker, Cause he ain't kicking out of bounds. Your day's going all right. Your day's going pretty much all right. But yeah, that was just that was. You don't want to say it's comical because the dude that got in his head. When you get the yips, you just get the yips. I just never seen it on kickoffs. But hopefully they will get that worked out, and he will be good to go come next week. If not, we got us a backup plan. Got us a plan B. I just never seen the backup kicker get applauded like that on a kickoff, but wonders never cease. But oh, poor dude, poor dude. But I just never seen that. A case of the yips on the kickoff. So hopefully he will get that worked out because we are going to need him down the stretch. We're going to need him as the season progresses to be able to work that out, and hopefully that's something they can work out. And they got a full talking about a bye week. Maybe our kicker need a bye week to get that straightened out. I don't know, but as the game wore on and became evident, Ohio State was going to just grind it out. Some of the stories they were bringing up was pretty good. Now, I like Marshall's coach. He had some interesting stuff he was saying, and some of the stuff that what was it, Jenny be having some good stories, stuff, and when they be talking to the stuff and talking to the players and some of these coaches and stuff, you get some of the little tidbits that they have during the game preparation. And one of the things I found interesting is what he was going to use for some of his NIL stuff. Talking about we going to get some Ohio State players to come here. We got that NIL deal, that those Tudor biscuits. And I love me some biscuits. I ain't gonna lie. I need me some biscuits. I might have to go check out that Tudor's biscuits if I'm ever in that area. If y'all had some of those Tudor's biscuits he was talking about, let me know if they good or not. That coach is pretty interesting. He has some other good takes. Here, if they can stay healthy, he sees the superior talent they had. His team fought their butts off, but Ohio State, they just too talented. And like you said, if they need to, if they don't stay healthy, they can put in their fifth guy and not miss a beat for the most part, especially in the receiver room or quarterback room, running back. I don't know. James Peoples looking good. Just the talent discrepancy that Ohio State's going to have over a lot of these non-Power 5 conference teams and just a lot of the Power 5, if we're being honest. But the coach was very interesting. Had a lot of good stuff to say, and it was nice hearing some of those things and some of those tidbits they are talking about. You know what? Another interesting was, before we go into some of the other stuff, just going off on a tangent now, just some of the other stuff they brought up, because it was, at the end of the day, a blowout. Being sluggish or not, it was a blowout, and they brought up some other stuff. Like, I found it very interesting reason why Quashawn wanted to come to Ohio State. I thought that was real interesting because he wanted to have Gus Johnson call one of his games. I thought that sometimes they just be making stuff up, but I actually believe that, because if you watch the game that Gary Danielson called, the SC Michigan game, whatever game he called, you can see I'm gonna take Gus Johnson every time over any other person that's calling plays at this particular time. But I just thought that was just another interesting little tidbit they brought up during the blowout of the sluggish game Ohio State played. But again, end of the day, offense looked great, big plays. Offensive line looked good. Defense, sluggish start. Sluggish, gave up 14 points, made the key plays when they needed to. The big non-call, whatever you want to call it, non-play. Certainly sets things right, and Ohio State, they got some stuff to work on heading into next week. But that's the Marshall game. Other games again. Before we start talking of some of these other games, please hit that like button. Please subscribe before we move on from Ohio State. Is there anything that you liked about the game? Was the defense sluggish? Did the bye week really hurt? What do you feel about the bye weeks at all? Did the bye week contribute to it? or was it just hot, sluggish? And they just had a really good game plan, just a nickel dime, and had a quarterback that could execute that game plan, and they played their butts off. And again, talent prevailed in the end. So, what do you think about Ohio State in the Marshall game? And then, like I said, this is a Marshall team that's used to beating teams in the Power Five teams. They've done it like twice, 2 years in a row. Going back to Notre Dame and beat Virginia Tech last year. So it was a good test, good tune-up heading into conference play. Some stuff to work on. The other big game of the day, was our friends up north and USC. Now, last week I was saying USC just might be the toughest competition for Ohio State heading into the season, giving away the season that started. I know USC is kicking themselves because Michigan, if there ever was a term that a team survived, that's exactly what Michigan did. They survived because SC had them dead to rights. SC should have won that game. It shouldn't have been close, honestly. It really should. They got the pick six. Will Johnson got that pick six. Hope he's all right. Even though they're all rivals, you never seen the player get hurt. So hopefully it's just something he'll be able to come back next game. But he had that pick six. And the defense, Michigan's defense, looked light and days better than what they did against Texas. And so it was a good defensive struggle. SC, they showed some defensive moxie, a lot better than what they did last year defensively. And they actually out Michigan, if you can believe it. And they should have won that game. Because let's face it, Michigan, they have quarterback issues, period. Quarterback issues. Like they brought up on, I think it was Joe, or Gus was asking Joe. And I was asking the same thing. How are you going to be the defending national champion and you ain't got a quarterback? They started the season with a walk-on quarterback. Y'all know they took that Stetson Bennett thing that Georgia did to heart, and they said, we're going to do it too. Georgia could do it with Stetson Bennett. We're going to do it too with Warren Davis. They trotted out a walk-on quarterback, and you the defending national champion because he beat out the guy you thought was going to be your quarterback in Orgy. But first two games didn't pan out the way they thought it was. You know what? He may not be Stetson Bennett after all. Let's go back to Alex and see what he could do. He can't do much in the passing game. He's a good runner. Talking about mobile quarterbacks we may have to deal with down the road, but he's a good runner, but they have literally no passing game. He was 7-12 for 32 yards for the game. 7-12, 32 yards. So I said, SC had him dead to rights. Fourth quarter, less than about a minute or so to go. SC's up by 4. Michigan gets the ball deep in their territory. You got one job, SC. You know at this point they're not going to throw the ball because Alex can't throw it. He can't. Either he can't throw it or they have no faith in him throwing the ball. All you got to do is tackle. Don't give up the big run. One job. Don't give up the big run. That was third and whatever. They let homeboy break off a 60-plus yard run, and all the credit to him. It was a hell of a run. Can't take nothing away from him. Poor tackling, but still, players make plays. He made the play. Hats off to Mullins. But I know SC is kicking themselves in the butt. Because one job. You make the tackle was fourth down. Two guys right there. He broke the tackle. When you say players make plays, that's a player making a play. Hats off to Mullins. He made the play. SC got to be kicking themselves because you know Michigan cannot throw the ball at this point in time in the season with Alex Orji at quarterback. Michigan, the definition of surviving a game. Um, so kudos to Michigan because SC has you guys dead to rights and you know it. But moving forward, if you don't develop a passing game, you can't rely on your dude busting the 60-yard run in the last minute of a game. Um, it's not going to happen on a consistent basis. So Michigan got some work to do. Their defense is good. Their defense is going to keep them in games, period, and they're going to rely on that running game. But at some point, your quarterback's going to have to throw the ball, and if he can't throw the ball, it's going to be a tough season. I don't want to say long. It's going to be a tough season. It's going to be an interesting season if Michigan cannot if they cannot develop any type of passing game to keep teams honest. Because they weren't even doing like I said, Marshall was doing the dipping and dunking. They weren't even doing that. Michigan, they did not trust him to do even that. So they got some work to do. And up until that big play, I think Sharon Moore, he might be in over his head because I don't think he knew what to do. He was a deer in tail lights. Do I go to Warren Davis, the walk on, or do I stay with Alex, who can't throw? Out. So he has some work to do. We're going to see how good of a coach he actually is because he has some stuff to do, some stuff to come up with. We're going to see if they develop a passing game. Who they have, don't know who they have next, but they got some work to do regardless of who the opponent is because teams are going to start gearing up and stopping the run because at this point Michigan is a very one-dimensional team. But they survived. They lived to fight another day, and their defense is coming around despite all the folks they lost, but their defense kept them in that game. Because if anything, USC has a good offense, and they just couldn't do nothing much that first half. So kudos to Michigan. They won a game playing to their strengths, which is what all you can ask them to do, which is their defense and running game. Because at this point, they have no passing game. I think Michigan fans will tell you that. I had a whole thing ready to go talking about Michigan and their deficiencies in the passing game, which still had to change, but they got the win. So I gotta let some of it go. Gotta let some of my have to like cross some of stuff. Can't say that. Can't say. All we call SC can't tackle. They were tackling good all game until that final drive. I know they are kicking up. That's a long flight too. That's a long flight back. They cannot be happy with the way that game ended. But kudos to Michigan. They lived to fight another day. Atop the conference. Good win for them. Coming off that loss to Texas a few weeks ago. So good for Michigan. Good for Michigan. But they got some work to do. They got some work to do. Other notable games worth mentioning. Tennessee. Talking about a team that looked like the real deal. And I know I bag on the SEC and talk how they get too much glorification. But Tennessee looked like the real deal. They go into Oklahoma and they shut Oklahoma down. They got a defense in Tennessee. They can play some D in Tennessee. And you said, if anything, Oklahoma's always been known for offense. They ain't had none against Tennessee. So Tennessee, they just might be the shocker in the SEC moving forward. I mean, the SEC's top heavy. They always have been. This year is no different. They're real top heavy. I think from top to bottom, Big Ten is still better. Got the homer in me? Probably, but I don't care. SEC, because you look at the number of teams they have in the top 10, my top 10 included, SEC's top heavy. So, and Tennessee looked really, really good going into Oklahoma and winning. Other notable game, my boy lost. Kyle McCord lost. Stanford, new addition to the ACC. We're gonna see how that plays out. Sort of derails my wish of Syracuse and Ohio State meeting up. It still could happen. Syracuse could still win the ACC, but Stanford goes on the road and knocks off Syracuse. I know Miami's still looking good, but the shocker, seems like there's one every week now. If it's not the MAC doing it, it's another team from non-power 5 group going in and just beating the pants off a power 5 team. And this day and this week was no different. James Madison, yeah, they play. It is the James. Ain't this the same James Madison had the shocker in the basketball tournament a few years ago? But James Madison, they going to North Carolina and pit up 70, not 17, not 17, 70 points against a Power 5 team at their house. 70 points. You know, when you score 50 like North Carolina did and you still lose by 20, yeah, you got there's something wrong there. And this ought to make Minnesota fans even more mad because this is the same North Carolina team that came into your house and beat you at your house in Minnesota, and the same North Carolina team gave up 70 points to James Madison. That don't look good for PJ Fleck, I'm sorry. But a non-power group of 5 team picks up 70 points on a power 5 team at their house. And the funny thing is, it ain't the first time that just happened to an ACC team. You know what the other ACC team was that gave us 70 points to a group of 5 team? North Carolina a couple years ago to East Carolina. I think I watched some of that game too, but 70 points. It was so bad that Mac Brown said, I will step down. But his players like, nah, you ain't got to do that, coach. We got you. We got you. So maybe this will make your players play a little bit harder. I don't know. But that was just embarrassing if you're a Power 5 team to give up 70 points to a group of 5 team. Play harder. Do better, Carolina. Do better, because the ACC break up, that's not a good audition tape. That ain't a good audition tape. You give up 70 points to a group of 5 teams. So y'all may want the ACC just to stay intact so y'all have some place to go. Because that ain't a good audition tape. You give up 70 points to James Madison. I mean, you ain't going to stop folks from knocking on your door just because of where you, geographically, you're still good. North Carolina is a good spot folks want to get into should it come to that. But that tape, y'all may want to burn that tape because that ain't good. That's not a good tape. Oh man. Other games of note that affects Ohio State was Michigan State, Boston College. I was hoping Michigan State would go in there and win for a couple reasons. First is Big Ten team, and it would have been Ohio. I think that they had won, they would have been ranked. Ohio State would have went into East Lansing and it would have been a ranked matchup. But now that goes down the wayside because Michigan State could not pull it out at the end of that game. Gave up the big bomb. Boston College scoring with the final few minutes of that game, and Michigan State couldn't match it. So that was the one disappointing thing about that game. And then all the other games went pretty much as expected. So Miami looked good. So we will see as we head into next week. Michigan State, good segue here to Michigan State. They are a much improved team. Got them a new coach. Hopefully they got some of their stuff worked out under the previous regime. See how that plays out with them. But John L. Smith, I believe, is coming over from Oregon State, and it's going to be an improved team. As we know in years past, and particularly when D'Antonio was there, Michigan State was the thorn in Ohio State's side. So we hopefully we're not getting back into that era, because it will be an unranked team. And if anything, to his credit, Ryan Day has pretty much owned unranked teams. So Michigan State will be an unranked team when we go into East Lansing. So we will see how that plays out. And again, Ohio State has some stuff to work on. That's a good thing about how this Marshall game actually played out. Sort of humble pie. At the end of the day, humble pie still, because the defense has some work to do, because Marshall had a good game plan, ran up and down the field, utilizing a mobile quarterback, and we're going to get some of the same with Aiden Childs. He's a mobile quarterback who can throw. Unlike the Michigan quarterback. Mobile can run, but he can't throw, or at least they don't trust him throwing the ball. He has a gun for an arm. Some of the throws he did let loose, but anyway, we'll see how that plays out. But it's gonna be a tough environment. He's gonna be looking to make a statement. Michigan State is to prove that they are back amongst the top echelon of Big Ten schools. And this what better way to prove it by than knocking off Ohio State, something they are used to doing. So they're not going to be intimidated at all by Ohio State. They have a track record of beating Ohio State. So we will see how that goes next week. Other things as we get ready to close this one out. The new top 10, I'm sure, is bound to come out, and I got my own top 10 because I don't always agree with how they do their rankings. Everyone has a top 10. I'm no different. I got my own top 10, and they ain't gonna change too much from my last one. Still got Texas at the top. They look good. They look good. Nothing's changed there. Georgia, until they lose, they're still there. They still got the win over Clemson, which that win is starting to look even a little bit better because Clemson's playing a little bit better, but they still struggled against Kentucky. I'm sorry, they still got that 1-point win against Kentucky. I don't care if it was in Kentucky. It's still just a 1-point win, but they still number 2. They still number 2. Got Ohio State checking in at 3. They honestly, they ain't played nobody. Let's just be honest. They ain't played nobody. They were supposed to play. This was supposed to be the game they played Washington. For all you folks saying they still haven't played nobody, it's hard. You know these schedules are made years in advance. Washington at the time was still in the Pac-12. Well, now they're a conference opponent. They had to get somebody to come in and play them. So that's why the schedule is what it is. I'm just saying. It ain't their fault. It's realignment fault. It's conference realignment fault for the way Ohio State schedule played out this year. But they ain't played nobody at the end of the day. It is what it is. I got Tennessee at 4. I know a lot of folks going to have Bama there. Some might have Ole Miss there. Tennessee's look really good. I'm sorry. They have looked really, really good. SEC or not, they have looked really good. It's hard to fault what they've done. I got Alabama at 5. Miami's looking good. I got them coming in at 6. Ole Miss, I still got them in at number 7. Got them at number 7. Would have had Missouri here, but they needed everything they did. They needed everything to get past Vanderbilt. Yes, Vanderbilt. So for now, I'm going to put Ole Miss at 7, Missouri at 8. And we'll round out the top 10 with 2 Big Ten teams who seem to be getting their footing. Oregon at 9, and I got Penn State at 10. You could either flip-flop Utah here because Utah's looking either or, but Cam Rising is out, but they don't want to do stuff based on backup quarterbacks because we got a history of doing well with backup quarterbacks. They don't want to punish a team for using a backup quarterback. But you could probably flip-flop Penn State and Utah at that number 10 spot. Other Big Ten teams I got currently ranked in the top 25. Not to go through the full top 25, but other Big Ten teams, I think Michigan, issues and all, I bumped them up to number 12, right behind whoever we have at 11, be it Penn State or Utah. I got Michigan right at number 12. Illinois, they going to Nebraska, beat Nebraska. Same old Nebraska, they can't win when it's one score or less. They always find a way to lose. So Matt Rule hasn't improved on Scott Frost at all in that regard. That's why they got rid of Scott Frost. He couldn't win close games, and Matt Rule, at least this one, you can't beat out Illinois in your own house. Rayola look good, but they still lose to Illinois. It'll be interesting to see what Illinois does the rest of the year. But the team I want to watch out for is the Indiana squad. Now, Indiana's looking really, really good. Seems like they've always had either a really good offense, the defense was lacking, or they had a stout defense and the offense was lacking. This might be one of those years where Indiana, their offense and defense are pretty much might be right there, good complement to one another. Again, they went in there and they just bombed UCLA. And UCLA, for what it's worth, they gave LSU a tussle for a good 3 quarters before LSU put that one away. But Indiana might very well be a team to watch out for moving forward. So those is my top 10, where I got the rest of the Big Ten ranked. Rutgers could almost put in here on the periphery, because they knocked off Virginia Tech, I believe. So Big Ten up and down thing. I said the conference as a whole, I think they might be a little bit stronger than the SEC, but that's debatable. Always debatable, and it's the homer in me coming out. So take it for what it's worth. Next week's game, Michigan State. I do believe it's on the Peacock channel, and fans do not like the Peacock channel. They already grabbing about it now, massing up about it now. The fans, they speak out. When the fans, they don't like something, they'll let you know they don't like it. They don't care what it is. Ohio State fans are gonna let you know, whether it be Peacock and they don't like it, or whether it be talking about. I'm gonna go off on a tangent here because we're getting ready to wrap it up, but just brought me something that I found interesting as well. Talking about the fans and when they don't like something. But you know what the gripe is now? not to go down the Kyle McCord path again, but remember this time last year. Well, I am gonna go there just a little bit. This time last year, the argument was, should Devin Brown be starting over Kyle McCord? Because that's how much folks dislike Kyle McCord. They wanted Devin Brown to start over Kyle McCord. About this time last year. We want to see Devin Brown. We want to see what Devin Brown can do. Fast forward a year. You won't believe the comments that are coming out now from Ohio State fans. Hasn't even been a full year. I don't know. Now you know what's bad. Now I said they were knocking the kicker earlier. What's wrong with the kicker? You know you got to tear up when the fan base is knocking the backup quarterback. I ain't lying, y'all. The backup quarterback. They want the backup quarterback to transfer out. Period. They ran off Kyle McCord, last year's starter. Now they want to run off this year's backup because we got the freshman phenom Julian Sand. Kyle McCord. Why Devin Brown getting some run in the second half? That should be Julian Sand. Devin Brown need to leave. You can't make this up. These fans are never happy. The bar is high. If they ain't talking about the kicker, they talking about the backup quarterback. He need to leave. He getting too many reps. He only got one series. But folks want the backup quarterback to trade. Not bench him. We ain't talking about benching Devin Brown. They want Devin Brown to transfer out. I can't make it up. I just had to throw that in there because I hope this ain't gonna go on all year trying to run the backup quarterback. That was a bad precedent, I think. Now they ran Kyle McCord off. Now they're gonna try to run Devin Brown off, which he may go. I'm surprised he didn't. Honestly, I'm surprised. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm surprised that we got five. Five people could probably go anywhere else and start, but they all still five on the roster. Y'all might get y'all wish. Just may not be the one you think, so be careful what you wish for. I'm just saying. But anyway, Michigan State next week on Peacock. So if you ain't got it and you want to see him play, you better either go to a sports bar or something. I fortunately have Peacock, so I can sit here in the comfort of my home and watch it. A lot of folks don't, and they mad about it, but Michigan State next week on Peacock channel. Hope you are able to see it. So until next time, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and please check your brother out again. Help this thing grow. OHIO, go Bucks. I'm out.